Volunteers are number one. And when I go to a forum in Washington, D.C., most of the people working there are volunteers to make the forum successful. And if you're at a small, say, community organization, it's 100% volunteers. And I know there's a history in former Soviet areas that a volunteer is someone who does what the government tells you to do. Volunteers are donors. They're giving you their time and their value, and appreciating them and supporting them is the same as with financial donors. That can reduce your overhead. Every big NGO I have worked, sometimes with 1,000 workers around the world, volunteers in the headquarters office have always done important cost-saving and effective activity. Be very clear with donors that your costs of operation are reasonable and low, but not zero. It's fair and appropriate that every donor help pay for the issues that you do, the financial accounting, the reporting, things like that you have to do. Third, with big donors, with foundations, with governments, come on, let's have a fight. You expect us to do this with no cost? You're crazy. I know the EC has something like a 5% overhead rule. USAID has what they call a negotiated overhead rate. Based on your audit and your experience and expenses, you negotiate 10%, 20%. Some universities negotiate 40%. Another approach to agencies like that is to put like accounting expenses, not in overhead, but in the program. So how do you account for the program? You have a person in the program do the figures. If you have branch offices, which some of you do, each office does the complete accounting and just sends it to headquarters. In accounting, there's something called primary purpose. So if the primary purpose in that office is helping children or solving cancer, everything in that office is a program expense. What else? Finding certain categories of donors who don't care about your spending. The classic example is corporate sponsor. You could say our NGO finds 5 or 10 corporations who agree to be special sponsors of your work. In the US, for example, they would give $1,000, $5,000, sometimes $10,000 because of the publicity and the fame they get. Example of that approach, I worked with a group in New York City, and they had a fundraising benefit. So one person said, I will help in the fundraising benefit. I will get my finance company friends to pay for the food, the room, the entertainment. So they had no expenses for 200 people to a party. The 200 people paid, I forget how much per person to come in, a gift. The end of one night, $20,000, which they use for their overhead costs. And there are many other ideas I'm sure you could add.